All right. Hello again, adventurers, and welcome to another exciting episode of D&D Deep Dive, the show where we dive deep into classes, subclasses, and other features of D&D 5th edition to help you get the most out of your choices. So, today, I would like to rage. Yes, we are going to be starting the Barbarian optional features and new subclasses in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. Today, specifically, we're going to be going over the two new optional class features, and the first of the two new primal paths, the Path of the Beast. So really quickly, a refresher on 5e class design. Every class should play differently right from the beginning. And it will have some defining features that show up somewhere within the first two levels. The Barbarian's defining feature is Rage. Rage is something he can do as a bonus action. Gives him resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. Also gives him extra damage on strength-based melee attack rolls. And gives him advantage on strength checks. So yeah, the Barbarian himself is designed to do a lot of damage and take a lot of damage. Has the largest hit die of any class in the game. So yeah, let's just start off with the optional class features. The first optional class feature, you get it right at level 3, and it's called Primal Knowledge. In this one, when you reach 3rd level and again at 10th level, you gain proficiency in one skill of your choice from the list of skills available to the Barbarian at 1st level. And this is one of the issues I have with the quote-unquote optional class features that don't replace a feature. Is they kind of just feel tacked on. Like, well, we did all this stuff for the Ranger, and there's a couple other ones where it's like, yeah, well, I guess we have to do optional class features or anything. So what can we give the Barbarian? I don't know. Can we give him some more skills? Nothing about Primal Knowledge fits into the kind of lore of the Barbarian. Barbarians are not known for being extremely skillful unless that skill involves taking sharp objects and putting them through squidgy things, or sometimes not that squidgy things. Yeah, so but Primal Knowledge, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And again, for me, class design is about giving the player choices. This literally just gives them extra stuff. There's no drawback. There's really no reason not to do it. And I don't really see, like, but Primal Knowledge doesn't feel to me like it's fixing a problem that the Barbarian had. Like, I have a Barbarian that I have played from level 1. I think he's only level 4, but I played him in the Adventures League, and yeah, like I never felt that I didn't have enough skills to be useful. Granted, my Barbarian was mostly may hit things with large objects, and he named all of his weapons. But yeah, like I don't see the point of Primal Knowledge. Barbarians have never been known for being incredibly skillful. That's kind of a bard and rogue thing where they have a lot of skills they're really useful, good at. So yeah, not a fan of Primal Knowledge. At 7th level, you get what's called Instinctive Pounce. As part of the bonus action you take to enter your rage, you can move up to half your speed. This is another one that doesn't make a ton of sense to me, because all it's doing is making the Barbarian even stronger, which the Barbarian doesn't really need. First things first, I know we generally did, or at least I don't generally consider it part of their defining features, but Barbarians are hyper mobile. And by that I mean they get an unarmored movement kind of thing. Very, very similar to the Monk, where they just get additional speed. And I believe they go toe-to-toe with Monk as far as how far they can move on a single turn. So Barbarians already can move faster than almost any other class, again, other than Monks, who really need that additional movement to be valuable to the team. And the reason that they have that additional movement is their defining feature, their rage, only works on melee weapon attacks, strength-based melee weapon attacks. So they won't get if they can't get up and close to enemies, they won't be able to use their thing. That's why they already are really fast. Now, when you rage, you get an additional boost of speed. Like again, Barbarians weren't slow before. I think in the years that I've been running 5th edition and playing 5th edition, I can think of one at a time where Barbarian did not have enough speed to get something done that they wanted to. And that was on an episode, that was on one of the Critical Role Battle Royale episodes, where it was a bunch of super high-level characters PvPing each other, which doesn't happen in D&D. D&D is not meant for PvP combat. It's not balanced for that. That's the only time I can remember a Barbarian feeling limited by the speed that they have. So just giving them extra speed when they rage doesn't make sense to me. Because again, they already have extra speed. It would be like giving the fighter an optional feature of you can have another attack at level 5. What? But they already get to 2 attacks. Well, now you get 3. And then you'll get 4 at 11, and you'll have 5 attacks. Well, yes, I mean, technically that is better, but you're fixing something that isn't broken. There's nothing wrong with the Barbarian speed before. I don't really see a benefit to giving them even more speed when they rage. Like I said, both of these just seem like, well, we gave the other classes optional features. We better do something for Barbarian. And that's, like I said, that's my issue with a lot of the just extra features. If it's not fixing a weakness in the class, I really think the optional features should replace this as something. So there's an actual choice involved. These just make the Barbarian better. So to give you an example, a Ranger playing without the optional features paired up with a Ranger playing with the optional features are not going to feel massively at a disadvantage. You know, if the non-optional Ranger took any of the Xanathar subclasses, they can totally go toe-to-toe with the optional features. The only time they're going to feel lesser is if they're using one of the 2 PHB classes, because those classes were already broken and then it needed to be fixed. With this, if you have a Barbarian and then an optional Barbarian, the optional Barbarian is just better. There's absolutely no reason to not to take these, and to me that's not an optional feature anymore. That's a required feature. So yeah. So those are the optional features. Like I said, I'm not particularly fond of them. Yeah. let's move on to the Primal Path. Specifically, the Path of the Beast. If you watched my review of Tasha's, I mentioned specifically that this particular path just seems tailor-made for Travis Willingham. If you don't know who Travis is, Travis is one of the cast members of Critical Role. The reason I say this is his character in the first campaign was a barbarian named Grog, whom I adored. I thought Grog was amazing. Travis played him so well. But one of the things that Travis has revealed multiple times since then is he's really into werewolves and the things like that. Like he, for a one shot, he played a blood hunter, which was which used the lycanthrope subclass, and like he's really into that. And so this Path of the Beast just seems like something he would have a ton of fun with, because he's already familiar with barbarians, and this would be such a cool barbarian for him to play. Or to see Grog in some kind of what if scenario go Path of the Beast instead of his berserker barbarian. Like I think that would just be super cool and fun. But that's literally what Path of the Beast is you are some sort of hybrid animal type thing. Now, one of the cool things about it is it does have a little thing where it mentions, well, you need to kind of explain where you get these bestial powers from. And so they have a little to the table. It only has 4 options on it, called Origin of the Beast. And it gives you a couple different kind of inspirations for where this beast power comes from. So one of them is one of your parents is a lycanthrope, so you inherit part of their curse, because this isn't full-blown lycanthropy, like being a werewolf or were-rat. You just have control and have the ability to kind of beast out every so often. The other one was descended from an archdruid, which gives you the ability to partially change shape. A Fey spirit gifted you the ability, or an ancient animal spirit dwells within you. All of them are really cool. Obviously, you are not limited to one of those 4. You can come up with whatever reason for why you're a beast. If you want to go a little more, science fiction-y, maybe you were experimented on by a wizard. And this was just a side effect of it. Like I said, there's a lot of different ways to do it. But yeah, overall, just from the get-go, I like the theme of this class. Again, it's going to make your barbarian play very, very differently than other barbarians, and that's what I think any subclass should do. So, starting at level 3... you only get one ability, but it's a doozy. You get Form of the Beast. Effectively, when you enter Rage, so this is going to improve your Rage ability, you can transform a certain part of you. Until the rage ends, you manifest a natural weapon. It counts as a simple melee weapon for you. You add your strength modifier to the attack and damage rolls. When you attack with it is normal, but every time you rage, you get to choose which form it takes. There are 3 different forms. You have Bite. Your mouth transforms into either a bestial muzzle or great mandibles, your choice. So either you get like a bear snout going roar, or you go part insect and go which is super cool. It deals a D8 piercing damage on a hit, and once on each of your turns, when you damage a creature with the bite, you gain a number of hit points equal to your proficiency bonus, provided you have less than half your hit points when you hit. So this one is cool. It gives you a bite attack offensively, a D8 is not a bad hit dice, though compared to like 2d6 or 1d12, you might be doing when you're wielding a great axe or a great sword. It may not be super powerful, but if you're under half hit points, the ability to give yourself more hit points every turn is pretty nice. This lets you sacrifice a little bit of your damage potential to super increase your livability. Because again, while you're raging, you already have resistance to most weapon attacks. Bludgeoning, piercing, slashing, you have resistance to that damage. You're doing damage and healing for the full amount, but you're taking half damage. So that's cool. This is the second one. Is claws. Each of your hands transform into a claw, which you can use as a weapon if it is empty. They deal a d6 slashing damage on hits, and once on each of your turns, and you take when you attack with a claw using the attack action, you can make one additional claw attack as part of this as the same action. Something I don't see a lot of players doing is a dual wielding barbarian build, and part of that is because of as they get higher, they get expanded criticals or increased criticals, which is basically when they roll a critical strike, you can roll one additional die of damage on top of the double damage you're already doing. So it benefits you to use weapons with higher damage dice. However, dual wielding barbarian builds are super viable, mostly because that means you get to add your you lose a little damage off the damage die, but it means that you get to add your strength modifier damage and your additional raid damage another time if you take an offhanded attack. So claws is really kind of built for a dual wielding barbarian. Now, because it doesn't specifically say these claws count as a light weapon, you cannot dual wield them normally. That's probably why they give you the additional attack. However, they do mention that all of these beast weapons count as simple melee weapons. So if you take the dual wielder feats, you can effectively dual wield your claws and effectively get 4 attacks per turn compared to the 2 attacks you would get using any other barbarian weapon. Now, obviously, you'll lose out on the things like Great Weapon Fighter is really popular for barbarians. None of these would be able to do that because none of them have the heavy property. But again, if you build it around this idea of the transformation and nature, you can build a really cool creature. And again, if you think just pure damage wise, if you had a great sword and you were in a normal barbarian, you would get to 2 attacks. Each attack would do 2d6 plus your strength mod plus your rage bonus. So you would get total for a turn. You would get 46 plus twice your strength mod and your rage bonus. With claws and the dual wielder feat, you would still get the 46, but you would get 4 times your strength mod and 4 times your rage bonus if all of them hit. Even when you add on Great Weapon Fighter attacks, you're still doing comparable damage. So yeah, I really like the claws. The final one you get for Form of the Beast is Tail. You grow a lashing, spiny tail, which deals a d8 piercing damage on hit and has the reach property. If a creature you can see within 10 feet of you hits you with an attack roll, you can use your reaction to swipe your tail and roll a d8, applying a bonus to your AC equal to the number rolled potentially causing the attack to miss you. So the tail turns you into a tank. Again, you lose a little bit of damage by going down to a D8 instead of 2D6 or D12. But you can, as your reaction, so this isn't, limited to your number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, your strength bonus, or anything. No. Every single turn, you can use your reaction to add a D8 to your AC. That's big. That's super duper big. The nice thing about this, you can actually have a shield and use tail and have no issues whatsoever. You can have a shield and use bite too. Like, a lot of people don't think about barbarians using shield, but their unarmored defense is specifically tailored that you can use their unarmored defense, which just lets you add, I believe it's your Constitution modifier to your ACC in addition to your dex. But you can also use a shield in addition to that, so that you can have a much more tanky barbarian. And with the tail, like, you could totally go ham on just being the guy that goes in and just takes all the attacks. You'll block a lot more attacks because a D8 plus 8 to your AC is massive. That's bigger than the 3/4 cover. Obviously, with a D8, you're not going to be rolling 8s all the time, but average roll in the D8 is a 5. So that's effectively walking around with 3/4 cover. That's amazing. So anyway, you can they'll miss a lot of the attacks against you. At least melee will. This doesn't do anything for ranged attacks. And even if they do hit you, you're raging. You're going to take half damage anyway, more likely than not. So yeah, overall form of the beast just makes the barbarian hyper versatile, because they can go bite, and basically start regaining hit points and things like that, and becoming that much more difficult to kill. They can go claws and just turn into this kind of whirling dervish of death, or they can go tail and turn into a massive tank, and just go to town. All three of them are viable, though I do think bite, because it only works until you get up to half your hit points. I think bite is probably the weakest, but by no means is it a poor choice or anything thing like that. So, yeah, whole thing is just super cool. When we get to 6th level, you get Beastial Soul. This makes it so attacks with your bestial weapon count as magical. This is kind of standard for any class that can attack without weapons. Druids get it, monks get it. At 6th level, your weapon attacks count as magical, or your attacks count as magical. You need that to be able to fight things like dragons and that. So, in addition to that, you can also alter your form to help you adapt to your surroundings. Whenever you finish a short or a long rest, choose one of the following benefits, which lasts until your next short or long rest. You can gain a swimming speed equal to your walking speed, and you can breathe underwater. That's choice number 1. 2, you gain a climbing speed equal to your walking speed, and you can climb on difficult surfaces, including upside down on ceilings, without needing to make an ability check. Or 3, when you jump, you can make a strength athletics check and extend your jump by number of feet equal to the check's total. You can make this special check only once per turn. Whoa, guys. Whoa. Sorry, I had something on my good glasses. All of those are awesome. I've made mention before. Having a swimming speed is a lot more than being able to swim. Anytime you're fighting in water or you're doing underwater combat, if you don't have a swimming speed, all of your attacks are made with a disadvantage unless they are very specific weapons that do piercing damage. With this, it means if you have a swimming speed, none of your attacks are made with disadvantage. So again, this can be a super useful thing to use when you are going underwater for whatever reason. Also, just being able to swim underwater indefinitely, super useful. The climbing speed one I think is super cool. You can walk on ceilings, guys. No check required. You are Beast. Literally, Beast from the X-Men. You get to just walk across the ceiling, popping people. If you combine the climbing speed with your tail, you could be on the ceiling where they couldn't reach you because you have reach with your tail. You can be on this ceiling if it's like a 15-foot high ceiling. You're on the ceiling just poking them with your tail. Well, they're just going, yeah, not fair. You can drop on people. Like, there's so many uses to the ability to walk on literally any surface. Like monks get that ability, but they have to keep moving. They don't get a climbing speed. They can just walk on vertical surfaces. So, yeah, it's just super duper, really cool. Love it. And then the jump thing. A lot of people, again, so many people don't use the jump rules in 5th edition. Myself included. I had to look up jump rules a little while ago because someone posted a Theorycraft build. That was super broken, and I kind of ripped it apart. So sorry about that. And I had to look up the jump for that, and the jump rules are remarkably clear and simple, and something that's super useful. When you combine it with this, again, normally your jump isn't going to get you very far. Like, you're generally going to be making between like a 10 and 15 foot jump tops. This, especially for a barbarian who already has massive strength and it's probably trained in athletics, there's a good chance that you can jump minimum 20 to 25 feet. In additional 20 to 25 feet on top of your jump already. You could go as far as like 30 extra feet, maybe even to the 35, depending on what level you are, because eventually barbarians can have more than to 20 strength. So yeah, like that again, the hypermobile aspect of the barbarian. And the nice thing about this is it doesn't specifically say your long jump or your high jump. So this could mean you could jump straight up in the air an additional 20 or 30 feet, which is huge. That means those really annoying enemies that your DM throws at you that are just flying and taking pot shots, so your barbarian can't do anything. Not for not for a beast barbarian. They will literally jump up, grapple you, and drag you back to the ground, or jump up and claw. Like, this is seriously cool stuff, interesting stuff. And again, every one of those has a situation where it's going to be useful. None of them are always the best answer. Obviously, the swimming speed will be one. If you are nowhere, like if you're playing a desert campaign, maybe you want to avoid this as a swimming speed one because you're never going to use it. But beyond that, like, they all have their uses. None of them are significantly better or worse than the other. Like, it's just good to do choices, and I like that. 10th level, you get Infectious Fury. Which is just cool. When you hit a creature with your natural weapons while you're raging, so this is only with the natural weapons, but to be perfectly honest, if you're not using your natural weapons with this class, you're doing it wrong, or at least when you're raging. When you hit a creature with your natural weapons while you're raging, the beast within you can curse your target with rabid fury. It must succeed on a wisdom save. DC is 8 plus con plus proficiency, or suffer one of the following effects. The target must use its reaction to make a melee attack against another creature of your choice that you can see, or the target takes 2d12 psychic damage. And you can use this feature a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus. Get them all back on a long rest. Wow. So the first thing, the melee attack against another creature you can see. It doesn't say within range, and that causes me to question. Because you can't use your reaction to move and make an attack. That's not how a reaction works, unless there's a specific ability that says you can move up to your speed and make an attack. This doesn't mention they can move and make an attack. It just says they need to make a melee attack against another creature of your choice that you can see. So I think that particular one needs clarity. My guess would be it has to be a creature within their attack range, is what I think they intended it as. But yeah, that could be massively useful when you're fighting multiple enemies. In addition to that being useful if you're fighting multiple enemies, the other thing is even if it's not being that useful to you, it specifically says another creature of your choice that you can see. Theoretically, you could argue that you are a creature that you can see because you can see your hands and everything else, and have them make that attack against you because it burns their reaction. And burning their reaction can be super useful. If you have a spellcaster that is constantly counterspelling one of your casters, burn their reaction, they can't counter spell. If you have a squishy that's too close to a bad guy, they need to run away, but they can't take an opportunity attack, burn their reaction. Like, yeah, it's really nice to be able to make them attack their allies. Yeah, and that's what everyone's going to have to think about it. But from a pure action economy standpoint, removing their reaction from play is a big deal. And if it's only having them attack you, again, the Barbarian's meant to take the damage. So if you can ensure that the attack hits you and not one of your allies, you have just taken an action away from the enemy, which improves the action economy. So, excuse me. The other thing you can do is the target takes 2d12, so this is psychic damage. So just extra damage. And psychic damage is one that very few creatures are resistant against. So, yeah. I think the reaction thing can be more useful if you are a little bit more tactical about how you use it. However, just adding an extra 2d12 psychic damage is still super useful. Even at the level 10, even at max level, an extra 2d12 damage is killer. Like, that is just great. The other thing that it does mention here, it doesn't say you can only do this once per turn. So as long as you aren't squeamish about going through a bunch of uses all at once, since you have multiple attacks, especially if you go dual wielding claws, you could do this 4 times in a single turn, which could turn into 4d12 psychic damage. The reaction one you can only use on a creature once because they only get one reaction. But yeah, an extra 4d12 psychic damage, like, damn, you become super deadly then. Obviously, you would be just about out of all your uses of that. Even at max level, you only have 6 uses, but when you need it. Finally, at 14th level, you get Call the Hunt. Excuse me. When you enter your rage, you can choose a number of other willing creatures you can see within 30 feet of you equal to your Constitution modifier. And again, at, I think it's 18th or 20th level, Barbarians get a boost to both their Strength and their Constitution, where both are increased by 4, and their maximums are increased by 4. So a high-level Barbarian can actually have to 24 Strength and to 24 Constitution, which for this would mean choosing up to 7 willing creatures. If you have that many friends. You gain 5 temporary hit points for each creature that accepts this feature. Oh, and this happens when you rage. I can't remember if I mentioned that. Until the rage ends, the chosen creatures can each use the following benefit once on each of their turns. When the creature hits a target with an attack roll and deals the damage to it, the creature can roll a d6 and gain a bonus to the damage equal to the number rolled. And then you can use this number of times you get your proficiency bonus, get them all back when you finish a long rest. So there's a lot to unpack here. First things first, it says, hits the target with an attack roll and deals damage. So this is not limited to melee attacks. This isn't even limited to weapon attacks. This can be spell attacks as long as there is an attack roll involved and it does damage. They get to do extra damage. Now another thing they do here, as you roll a d6, gain a bonus to the damage equal to the number roll. Meaning you're not adding a d6 to the die roll. You're rolling a d6 and then adding a static modifier to your damage. And the reason I bring that up is this smite effect, I guess we could call it, is like when a paladin hits a crit. They will always add smite damage on it because smite damage just adds additional damage die to the damage you're already doing. Because of that, on a crit, you double the number of the dice that you roll for damage, which means anytime a paladin crits and adds a smite onto it, they do double the smite damage as well. Because this specifically says you roll a d6 and then give a bonus to the damage equal to the number roll, it means it's not going to benefit from a crit like a smite would. Which makes sense because this could get really, really broken really quickly, especially if you have something like a champion fighter where they have an expanded crit range. Adding this to them could be super, super powerful. But even with that little caveat, there's so much. Like for first of all, the general D&D party is between like 4 and 5 players. That's normally what you have. This is if you have 5 players, it's you and 4 other people. This is effectively adding 4d6 damage to the damage of your team every turn until your rage ends. That's a 2nd level spell, effectively. That's really, really good. Obviously, this is something that you need to work with your team with, because again, if you have a spellcaster that uses mostly saving throws to spells, while this is going on, they may want to switch over to attack rolls to stuff. But yeah, so you get temporary hit points, which are super useful. Give you that extra cushion, so you're not going to die. Everybody gets a bonus to damage. Like, seriously, just a really, really cool, interesting feature. So, final thoughts. Overall, I love Path of the Beast. I think it's unique. It will let you play a barbarian extremely differently than other barbarians, to the point where you could have a berserker barbarian and a beast barbarian in the same party, and neither one is going to feel like they're stepping on each other's toes too often. The form of the beast stuff with the natural weapons is super cool. Super customizable and gives you a lot of choices as to how you want to play. You're not locked into a single weapon type, so you can be very versatile when you're using whatever one you need to use. Beastial Soul, again, another thing that's just super cool. Walking on the ceiling is awesome. Infectious Fury can either be used for crazy amounts of burst damage or as a really useful control ability. And then Call of the Hunt just turns you into the ultimate support. Like, everything about this class is super cool. None of it feels like super overpowered or anything like that. Like, compared to... I keep saying Berserker Barbarian simply because that is the most popular Barbarian to play. A Berserker Barbarian is not going to feel underpowered compared to this, because they can do great weapon fighter attacks, and they get advantage on a bunch of, like, they're just built to do lots and lots of damage, and they get their blind rage kind of stuff, and yeah, like they do a lot of really awesome stuff. None of this stuff feels super overpowered. It's one of the reasons probably why the natural weapons are a little bit lower, because of all the other stuff you get. This could become overpowered really quickly. So that is going to be all for me for today. As always, if you enjoyed this, please hit that little like button. It lets me know you like this. It lets YouTube know you like this. And if enough people to tell them, they may let other people see it. So hit the little like button. In addition, hit the subscribe button. Since Tasha has come out, I've been putting out a crap ton of content. Right now, I'm averaging 12 videos a week with this and... Mastering Astral Projection and my daily December stuff. There's a lot of stuff coming out. Hit the subscribe button. It goes all to your subscribe box. And hit the bell icon to turn notifications on, so that when I do post things at weird hours, which I did do because my mental health doesn't always let me record things when I would want to, you will never miss any of my videos, because you get a little notification. In the comments below, what beast are you going to turn into? If you choose Path of the Beast, what beast are you going to turn into? Are you going to turn into an insect? Like, I really like the fact that they have the mandibles as part of your bite thing, because I totally want to see an insect barbarian. Like, that would be super awesome. Like, they get praying mantis claws for their claws. And for their tail, they get like a scorpion to the tail. And for the bite, they just get like ant mandibles. Like, that would be super awesome. So in the comments below, tell me what is your beast that is going to unleash itself when you take the path of the beast. Otherwise, folks, that is all for me today. And I will see you guys in the next time. All right? Bye-bye.